Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, are in deep contrast to the turbulent waters in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series garage area. An extraordinary week and an extraordinary day in the history of the sport of NASCAR unfolding here today as we get set for race number 1 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. It was last Saturday night at Richmond International Raceway as the field for the championship was being determined that things got a little choppy in the waters. Clint Bowyer spinning out after some mysterious radio transmissions from his pit box, a caution flag that changed the complexion of the late laps of the race. That spin followed by a trip down pit lane for Bowyer's car and a lap later by his Michael Waltrip Racing teammate, Brian Vickers. Vickers pitting after a radio transmission from his spotter saying, "We need that spot to get Martin Truex Jr.'s car into the championship." Also unfolding at the same time, Joey Logano in Penske's 22 passing David Gilliland in Front Row Motorsports' 38 car for a spot that would eventually secure a place in the chase for Joey Logano at the end of the night in Richmond. After reviewing some of the radio transmissions, NASCAR levied penalties on Monday evening to Michael Waltrip Racing. Those penalties essentially taking Martin Truex Jr. from a place in to out of the chase field. The $300,000 fine and the indefinite suspension for Ty Norris, the spotter for Brian Vickers, and the team's executive vice president. All three of their crew chiefs placed on probation for the rest of the year. Well, then as the week went along, following further reports, NASCAR investigated the radio transmissions revolving around that 22 and 38 late laps Richmond pass, leading to a press conference about an hour ago here at Richmond with NASCAR President Mike Helton and NASCAR Chairman Brian France.
As you're well aware, we've been looking at a lot of video, audio, and timing scoring information and other data from the Richmond race. And we reacted earlier this week, and then based on further due diligence, what we're determined to do, or what we've decided is, in addition to what other actions we've taken, we're going to put Front Row Motorsports and Penske Racing both on probation for the balance of the year for actions detrimental.
Due to the totality of the events that were outside of Jeff Gordon's his issues, we're going to add a 13th position to the field, and Jeff Gordon will qualify for the championship this year, Sprint Cup Championship. We believe in looking at all of it, that there were too many things that altered the event and gave an unfair disadvantage to Jeff and his team, who would have qualified, and I have the authority to do that. We are going to do that. It is an unprecedented and extraordinary thing, but it's also an unprecedented and extraordinary set of circumstances that unfolded in multiple different ways on Saturday night.
End result of all of it is there are now 13 drivers competing to win this year's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship. There are the group of 13, so it's not 12 drivers, 10 races, 1 champion. It's 13 drivers, 10 races, 1 champion. Jeff Gordon now eligible to win this year's NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. And welcome Alan Bestwick, joined at the track by champion driver Dale Jarrett and champion crew chief Andy Petrie. Where do we start with this? Well, let's start at Richmond last Saturday night. The events as they unfolded on the track, what we know about them now with 5 days reflection time, and NASCAR's reaction to it.
Yeah, certainly a lot went on, and you know, I was giving the drivers every benefit of the doubt that something did take place, but obviously there was a lot of evidence there to go against Michael Waltrip Racing. My concern was when the announcement was made earlier in the week with what they were going to do, is where was this going to end? We've opened up a whole new can of worms, so to speak, and where did it stop? And sure enough, something else came along, but you know, NASCAR felt like that they had to address that because it did affect a lot of teams and drivers last Saturday night.
Yeah, and I saw plenty of that happen Saturday night to warrant some reaction by NASCAR, and I was kind of wondering how they were going to handle this. And the way they did handle it, I can't say that I disagree with. It was a pretty harsh penalty, very harsh penalty. It took one driver out of the chase, put another one in, and I agree with it. I think that was the right thing to do. I'm like Dale, I think it's opened up a can of worms. It's a lot of things that maybe come from this, but I felt personally that they had done enough for me to be satisfied with the penalty.
Now, that was after the announcement Monday night. What about adding Jeff Gordon to the chase field and making it 13 drivers today?
Yeah, that's one place I have a little bit of problem is putting 13 drivers. This was a race to the chase for 12 drivers, and now that we add one, I mean, I understand Brian France's sense of fair play and how Jeff Gordon was really kind of the one that got kind of messed up in this and deserved to be in the chase. But if that's the case, then you need to take somebody out. And it looked like the evidence was plenty to take the 22. Give him a point penalty if that's the case, because they put him on probation. If they found some wrongdoing, then give it a point penalty. That would take Joey Logano out, and it would put Jeff Gordon in, which I think he belongs. But I just don't see 13 drivers in the chase is arbitrary to me, and I don't quite agree with that.
Yeah, I think if what we were told, a lot of the reason was Ty Norris telling the 55 to pit. If that kind of tied things together to get 50-point penalty there, then there was certainly that much evidence in what the Penske organization was trying to work with Front Row Motorsports there to make that happen. So why not the same penalty? That's my only concern there. And we forget about there were 25 races before that. What took place that shaped things there? So, my gosh, it's just so many things there. And I don't think, again, I don't totally agree with that, but they obviously went through a lot in making this happen and felt like this was the fairest thing that they could do for competitors, sponsors, everyone involved. And we know that's a big part of our sport.
Yeah, what this all comes down to is the sense of fair play, the sportsmanship that many feel was perhaps violated. NASCAR's called a mandatory meeting of drivers, owners, and crew chiefs for tomorrow afternoon, 2 local time here at the track, to kind of describe and detail and discuss where that line is going to be drawn between fair and foul. End result of this, Jeff Gordon's in the chase, and right now is with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, thank you very much, Alan. An interview we thought was going to come last Saturday night, and now it's 6 days later. Better late than never. Jeff, congratulations. You are now in the 2013 chase for the Sprint Cup. What does this decision mean to you in this 2014?
Oh my gosh, what a roller coaster ride of emotions this week, and unprecedented set of circumstances. I've never been a part of anything like this before, but for my team, for the fans that have been overwhelmingly supportive this week, for the tough decisions that NASCAR has to make, me and this team, and for Drive to End Hunger. I'm extremely happy about this. We're proud to be in it, and now an incredible set of opportunities lie on our shoulders to go out there and show that we belong in this chase.
When we interviewed you after the race at Richmond, you were totally unaware, as were many, what had happened, what transpired that you didn't get in. And now that you've seen what happened all week with the radio communications, et cetera, and NASCAR's decisions, this unprecedented decision by Mike Helton, and Brian France, is this in your mind justice served?
Well, I mean, certainly from where I'm standing now and all that we've been through this week and looking at that race, how hard we worked, it'd be easy for me to say that, but we've got some issues that need to be addressed. I'm looking forward to this meeting tomorrow to work through some of those, to interact with NASCAR, hear what they have to say, as well as come up with solutions, long-term solutions of how we get around these types of events ever occurring again. And I know we're going to leave that with a much clearer, hopefully crystal clear set of guidelines to make sure that we're only going out there and racing as hard as we possibly can, the way this 24 was last week.
Hey, thanks for coming out. Congratulations on being in your 9th chase. Now go out and maybe get you this 5th championship.
Well, we had a great car today, and speaking of fans, we've got 516 contributors to Drive to End Hunger on my hood that are all going to be riding around here with us on Sunday. And now for a chase for the championship, the Sprint Cup. Thank you.
4-time champion Jeff Gordon. He is smiling. The entire team down here is smiling. A huge throng around behind his hauler. Very excited about the unprecedented decision to add him to this year's chase for the Sprint Cup.
Doc, thanks. There are the names of those 516 fans that'll ride along with Jeff Gordon here on Sunday in chase race number 1. I mentioned before, Jeff just talked about this meeting that's going to happen here tomorrow between drivers, owners, crew chiefs, and NASCAR officials. As a driver and a crew chief, what do you need to hear from NASCAR out of this meeting tomorrow to understand where you are going forward?
Yeah, clarification. Exactly where do we stand? What is acceptable and what isn't? for a lot of years in this sport, you know, drivers have given the opportunity for another driver to lead laps to get points. Is that acceptable still? You know, are we going to be questioned with every pass that takes place at the end of these races, whether it's teammates or somebody's best friend that's out there? You know, what are we going to do? Let's put this down. Let us know exactly what it is that we can and can't do, and that's the only way to have that set of guidelines to go by.
Yeah, and as crew chief and as a car owner as well, I've read the rule book almost every year, cover to cover, to find out where the lines are, where I could go, because it's my job as a crew chief to take everything right to that line. I need to toe that line exactly because that's what I get paid to do. If you don't know where the line is, and if it's very vague, that's what I want the sanctioning body to tell me. Where is it? If I can, because I'm going to go right to it if I can find it. And I think that's going to be their challenge as to how they draw this line that is defined enough that people really know where it is.
Be fascinating to follow as we go through the coming days, weeks, and months. For these drivers and teams now, focus becomes on the racetrack as qualifying is about to begin. With more, here's Jamie Little.
Well, Alan, perhaps the most talked about driver all week has been Clint Bowyer. Since his spin last Saturday night at Richmond, he's come under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of fire, and he's had to face a lot of media. It started at our ESPN headquarters on Tuesday. He spent the entire day there, and it went through yesterday, facing the media yesterday in downtown Chicago. So once Clint got here to the track, I talked to him earlier today, and he said this has been one of the toughest weeks of his life. And the way he's dealing with it, well, he went out and went on a run on the racetrack this morning and said but the best remedy is to put on his helmet and turn some fast laps. He was 10th on the board in that practice session, and remember, he's still the 8th seed in the chase. Alan?
Jamie, thanks. Clint will be out a little bit later on in the qualifying session. The first car, David Gilliland.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have it any other way in our sport, how things happen, but pretty good lap there.
Yeah, he equals his practice speed of 29.35. Actually, just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, to follow up there, what Jamie was talking about with Clint Bowyer, too, is as a driver, the best thing that you can do is get inside the race car because it requires 100% of your thoughts and participation inside of what takes you to do your job. And you put everything else that's going on in the world, you put out of your mind.
I was up on top of the hauler, one of the haulers when the practice began, and Clint was on the hauler next to me on top of his watching the cars go out there. He didn't go out right away. And so basically, you know, most of the guys had already been on the racetrack. He goes out there and puts his car at the top of the board. One lap, I said, man, he had a lot of pent-up frustration that he took out on the racetrack.
You know, and as he interacts with fans and sponsors and so on, competitors on the racetrack, Clint Bowyer is going to have to deal with the stigma of Richmond all the way through. Look, it's the way he's been running lately, it's possible he's going to be the one holding the championship trophy at Homestead 10 races from now, and he's going to have to continue to answer to that and deal with that all the way through if he's going to be this year's champion.
Yeah, exactly right. And as a competitor, you know, he understands that. The one thing that he's going to have to deal with as he gets through it, Clint's a very popular driver among other drivers, among the fans. He's a breath of fresh air out there all the time. And now, probably for the first time in his career, as he goes across the stage, because of his actions on Saturday night that started this whole thing, has this gone over for an entire week now? Because without that happening, none of this was going to be talked about or none of it would have taken place. So he's going to have to deal with that and probably with being booed for the first time, really, in maybe a loud way because of a lot of fans that are unhappy about the way that took place.
New track record.
Imagine that.
For
like
Carl
that.
Edwards.
This man here said he was going to win the championship last week. Won that race at Richmond, and somebody, I can't remember, was it Doc asking?
Yeah, last week, yeah.
Said, yeah, he said he's going to win the championship.
Carl Edwards, third fastest in practice earlier today, and that is a good barometer of the fact that things are going to be pretty speedy in this qualifying session today, and also a good barometer that Carl and the Roush Fenway team have picked up the pace here. Of course, Edwards getting off pit road ahead of Ryan Newman last Saturday night and getting the jump on Paul Menard on that last restart.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it hadn't all this thing broke loose with Michael Waltrip and Clint Bowyer that we wouldn't be talking about that restart a lot more this week, too.
I think you'll have to define that a little bit more.
Yeah.
For me, too, because I know what we're told in some meetings that we have, and that to me looked clearly like an infraction. I actually spoke with Carl about it yesterday, and it wasn't. I'm not against Carl Edwards winning that. I just thought that in my mind and what I've been told that he had to give that spot back before he completed that lap. But NASCAR saw otherwise, and obviously it became a certain side note, a non-factor with everything else that went on through the week and right up until an hour ago.
So Carl ran 188.357 miles an hour. Jimmy Johnson held the track record here that was set back in 2005 at 188.147. So it'll be the 15th time this season that a new track record has been set with this new Gen 6 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race car.
Well, that just gives you an idea just how fast this new car is, because 2005, that track record held up for Jimmy Johnson. And this track keeps losing grip and aging, and this new car comes out here and sets a new track record. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not like that these track records are being set because Goodyear's bringing soft tires or something like that that won't hold. You know, these are very durable tires that they have on this. We've seen them hold up, and so it's obviously the car and how this thing has evolved throughout the year. The drivers knew it was going to be fast. They've got a big spoiler on there. It gives them a lot of security most of the time.
Jamie says not so much right there. His car's bouncing through the bumps.
It is a very rough racing surface here, but it's something that the drivers talk about it, but not in a derogatory way. It's not that they don't like that. It just makes it a challenge.
One question I have about the bumps, though, Dale, is it better up high than it is down low?
Yeah, it used to be that case, but now it's started to settle there in that middle, and it's pretty rough through that, too.
How fast was that early lap Carl Edwards ran? He's 4/10 faster than what McMurray just ran, the second fastest lap so far.
Maybe he was serious about winning that championship.
The racing here at Chicagoland Speedway led off tomorrow by the NASCAR Nationwide Series. It'll be 3:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Also this weekend on the ESPN networks, the NHRA Carolina Nationals. Qualifying Sunday, 3:30 a.m. on ESPN2 with a final elimination Sunday evening at 8:30 p.m. also on ESPN2. Race number 1 in the chase. The GEICO 400 from here at Chicagoland Speedway, Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. That's the motorsports this weekend. Dave Blaney ran just a minute ago during the commercial break. The Buckeye Bullet, fourth fastest out of the 4 drivers that have run so far, 181.928 miles an hour for Dave. Here is Marcus Ambrose. See the car kind of skipping through some of the bumps there you were talking about.
That's why I was asking Dale. You can see the marks. Actually, the track's a little darker through those bumps where the cars hit the ground. And I don't see it so much up high. And I wondered if that's something we'll see on Sunday, where we see drivers searching for grip and try to get out of those bumps by running high. You see them down on the low side of the racetrack, trying to shorten it up for qualifying.
I think a lot like Atlanta, we're going to see them all over this racetrack on Sunday. It's going to be about momentum and looking for as much grip as you can find, and sometimes that's going to be right up next to the wall.
The low mark in his speed in the center of 3 and 4 was 180 miles an hour. It's amazing.
That's the minimum speed. 29 flat.
Is he going for 2?
Looks like he's still on it.
Yep. Be the first one to go for a second lap.
Looks like our tracker has him just about equal.
Ambrose and this team, one of many who came here to test at Chicagoland Speedway. Second lap a little bit slower. So Ambrose second out of 5. Carl Edwards is the new track record holder, Jamie.
And he's P1 on the board right now. A few weeks ago, you said you guys had to change everything that you were doing to get yourself in this position. You win the race last week. Now you're sitting P1. Where is this coming from?
Jimmy Finnig and all the guys at the shop, Robbie Reiser, Chip Bolin, Jack Roush, everybody that builds these cars. We haven't really done anything specifically different. We've just been working really well as a group. And I think Greg Biffle, myself, Ricky Stenhouse, his car was really fast here. I think we all have a really good shot at this race. And I don't know, our draw is awfully early, and I think there'll be some fast guys. But I would venture to say that a Ford will maybe be on the pole here. And hopefully we can put a Fastenal Ford in victory lane. 10 races to go. You can't let anything slide. You got to give it everything you've got.
All right, well, you're the first to break the track record. Let's go over to Doc.
Talk about momentum entering the chase. You know, Kurt Busch drove his car into the chase last week, finishing second at Richmond, second quickest in practice. By the way, you were faster than Carl Edwards. We just spoke with a minute ago. How confident are you? You got something for maybe the pole today and to begin this chase with the win.
These guys keep bringing fast cars, and it's my job to drive it to the best that I can and give them communication on how it's handling. And these guys, I mean, Todd Bowyer leads a good group of guys that are all on the same page. And you know, we didn't win the other night. We finished second, locked ourselves in, and now I think the hard part's over. I think now we can just go, breathe easy, and just kind of let the good times roll and see what we got. I mean, I think for qualifying here, we're going for pole, and we'll see if we get one.
Very confident here. They may have a car that'll start on the front row, if not the pole here on Sunday, AB.
Yeah, I was talking to Todd Bowyer, his crew chief, on top of the hauler during practice, and he said, yeah, the pressure's off now. They're in the chase. They're just going out here to try to win this championship. And that's fine to get started, but I think if you are in contention when this thing starts coming down to the last, 3 or 4 or 5 races, that pressure will get escalated pretty high.
Yeah, that all sounds good for the time being, as you said, but if they keep themselves in that position, which there's no reason to think that they won't. That was a great performance they had in a high-pressure situation last Saturday night, and they certainly have the driver and what looks like the team to make it happen.
Casey Mears, 4th out of 6 to go so far. Big weekend for Casey, the sponsor of his race team, sponsoring the race. Casey's been in town making some appearances and so on. And again, 4th fastest out of 6 that have gone so far for Casey, former winner at this track in NASCAR Nationwide Series racing. Well, after the reseed post-Richmond to begin this chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, Kyle Busch comes in as the 3rd seed, 4 wins this year. And you look at that, and the question has always been, can this driver, can this team deal with the pressure of a championship run? They do a lot of their winning before it gets to these crucial fall months. Opinion from here, this is a group that's grown over the last 12 months after the disappointment of last year, and that this year, I think the answer to that question is yes.
I believe that, and I said before the season started, I was asked to give my pick as to who was going to win the championship this year, and this is who I picked. I think that this team, last year, as difficult as that was in missing the chase with the things that took place at Richmond for them last year, but they had a great chase then. But I think that, as you said, they've grown, and Kyle Busch has grown as a driver and understands what it takes. I think he wins in the chase here, and I really think he's going to win this championship.
I think he's definitely going to be fast enough to win the championship. The thing that, to me, that's kept him from being a championship contender is dealing with adversity, and that's the one thing that you're going to have to do. Sometime in this chase, you're not going to have a good race, and how you deal with it is going to be a lot to do with whether you're going to be a contender or not, and I think that's still yet to be proven in my mind. Had a good lap there, though. Real close to Carl Edwards. Just
missed it by that much.
Yeah.
100th of a second.
It was a great lap.
Good lap, babe.
Like I said, I think he's going to be fast enough.
6.9, you're a 6.79.
Great lap for Kyle Busch in his qualifying today. Doc?
And one of the big questions the last month is, what about 5-time? I mean, they've had everything that could go wrong has gone wrong with this 48 team, but how about you guys starting race 1 of the chase and getting the mojo back? What's it going to take?
I think on big tracks we've had a lot of speed, and when you look at Richmond and Bristol, we don't usually run well at those tracks, and we went there and we didn't run well once again, so that's kind of a thing we wish we could get over, but we can't. The other tracks prior to it where we had bad finishes, we had fast race cars, and we're back at a big racetrack this weekend. We've been fast in practice. We'd love to get to the finish line and put up a good top 3, top 5 finish, if not a win, and silence all that talk that's kind of been out there. So this team's capable of a lot of amazing things. We've shown it year after year, and we're ready for this chase to start.
You led the most laps here a year ago. In fact, 2 of the last 3 years you've led the most laps in this race, yet this is one of the few tracks you have not won on. Why do you think when it comes down to the wire, things has happened here to Jimmy Johnson?
There's been different circumstances, but I'd say the common one has been mistakes, and I think a lot of those mistakes have fallen on my shoulders with restarts and situations late in the race. So I need to not make those mistakes. I think last year leading so many laps kind of hurt us. Guys were working on their car and were better on that last run than we were, and we just got beat. So we're learning from all our mistakes, and hopefully we can. I don't care. I just want to lead one. Just that last one would be fine. It's nice to lead all those others, but the last one's the one that pays.
All right, Jimmy Johnson, they're here to talk. Did he handle it on the racetrack, AB?
And Doc, interesting early trend in qualifying, comparing people like Denny, who are right down left sides on the white line, and people that are running up in the second lane of the racetrack above that first seam.
Yeah, he does it there. I saw him. You know, you have seen a little bit different lines through there. That's why I keep quizzing Dale about the racing surface and what it's like. And I guess it's probably aged over the last few years even more so, but you can see how rough it is.
Yeah, but what the drivers tell me is that Denny's going to clock in the third quickest now, but it's really gotten rough on the very bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4, more so than 1. The bumps that are really in 1 are right at the entry, and they're able to arc the car in and miss most of those. That's why they want to take the shorter way around and get through 1 and 2 on the bottom.
Over 1.5 miles of racetrack, Kyle Busch was 2.75 feet short of Carl Edwards in their qualifying laps. One of baseball's great rivalries continues Sunday night with a pivotal matchup. Mariano Rivera and the Yankees try to keep their wild card hopes alive when they face David Ortiz and the Red Sox. Sunday at 8 Eastern, Yankees-Red Sox from Fenway on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. The Yankees just a game back in the wild card.
Somehow, some way, I don't know. And it used to be a great sign whenever Rivera was going to come in the game. Here the last week or two, not so much so, but they've managed to win somehow.
Red Sox can help or hurt that in these next 3 days.
They've been knocking a lot out of the park. A lot of home runs from that Red Sox team.
Paul Menard just finished running second fastest. 188.298 miles an hour, just a bit slower than Carl Edwards. Joe Nemechek ran a minute ago while we were in the commercial break. And front row Joe running a 29.87. That's 180.753 miles an hour. So it's Edwards, Menard, and Kyle Busch, the top 3, Jamie.
And Kyle third on the board right now. So Kyle, you missed the chase last year. What is it like being back at Chicago in the chase and knowing that everything you do here counts toward a championship?
Well, it's certainly a lot better than a year ago, but you still got to live through these next 10 weeks and be able to work hard and still see results, you know. So looking forward to it, though. I think the double mint Camry's been pretty good today. Excited about it there. I think our qualifying run will hopefully stay decent. I mean, obviously we went out early, but you know, still I think it's good enough to stay in the top 10, and we can see the front from there, and we'll race them on Sunday.
All right, Kyle Busch has 2 wins on 1.5 mile tracks already this year, Alan.
And 5 of the last 10 races on the 1.5 mile track configurations, Jamie, as Jimmy Johnson sits buckled in and ready to go. Just a reminder that the qualifying order for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series this year by random draw, not by the practice times that it had been a couple of years ago and that the Nationwide Series still does. So it's just the random draw that determines when you get out on the racetrack. And a good lap going for Aric Almirola.
I think it's incredible as we look at it is a good lap here. Maybe the best lap. Nope, not quite.
Wow.
4th fastest.
Lost something from turn 4 to the end there, huh?
Yeah. I was just going to say our top 3 just shows the level of competition, I think, and this new car has helped that and evolved into this, but so many teams so close. But we have 3 drivers that have gone 1.5 miles around here at a high rate of speed, and they're all within 1,000th of a second or 100th of a second, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, second, third's only separated by 1,000th of a second. Our stats guy says that's 3 inches around a 1.5 mile racetrack.
Wow.
I'm glad he's doing that math. So Aric Almirola sliding in 4th position. Interesting, the prediction by Carl Edwards that he did give himself the out there, but you would maybe see some of these Fords have stepped up their game here on the big tracks, really in the last month or so. Roush Fenway Racing in particular. Penske's, Logano's been on that tear all summer. Brad Keselowski's been up front, just had bad luck happening to him, my opinion. But the performance level of 99, 16, 17, I picked it up.
I think the Roush organization has found some things lately, especially that work on these bigger racetracks, and caught up to the Chevy teams like the 48 teams going out right now. It's a kind of a suspension setup that a lot of guys have been trying. I think they finally caught up to it, maybe even refined it to a higher level. But I think one of the things I hear in Carl Edwards' voice, they may have found a little horsepower these last 10. That's
right where I was going, and knowing Doug Yates as well as I do, and was the benefactor for a lot of years of having that horsepower. Doug, always, when it came time to win big races or championships, you knew that he was going to have a little something extra for you. And I believe he stepped the game up for these guys.
Because that's one thing a driver will respond to. You give him a little more power, he'll show you something.
Jimmy Johnson, as you saw, has had a lousy month leading up to the start of this championship. Had a lousy month leading up to the start of the championship in 2004. But then went on a little bit of a tear toward the end of that season, wound up missing the championship by just a fraction in that epic first chase finale down at Homestead, the three-way race to the checkers.
On the few on the bottom of the racetrack here, you can see him go in there and had to
he's
look around a little
going.
bit, but looks like this could be the quickest time. I don't know. We keep seeing that change a lot right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can believe our tracker in that one, but they're all so close. That one right there is just 1/1000.
I don't know what happened, but we had him 28.67, buddy. That's P2.
You could see that graph from about the entrance of pit road to the start-finish line, nosing down, which tells you that whatever Carl Edwards did there, which might come back to your discussion of a minute ago.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing will pull you to that start-finish line like a good motor.
I'm just saying. Fastest in practice was one of those Roush Fenway cars. Let's check downstairs.
And that would be reigning nationwide champion Ricky Stenhouse. Ricky, we're talking about how Roush Fenway seems to have stepped it up a little bit these last few weeks, especially in the horsepower department. Quickest car in practice. Can you beat a 28.699 from your teammate Carl Edwards?
I hope that's the time we got to beat. Hopefully Carl can stay up there. We're able to have a Roush Fenway Ford front row at Atlanta. So hopefully we can, beat that. I think, our Best by Ford was really fast during practice. Like you said, our last couple weeks have been a lot better, and we're just trying to do everything we can to, help Carl and Greg, go after this championship, and, for us to gain as many points as we can over the end of this 2013 season, and try to carry some momentum into next year. But our Best by Ford's been fast in practice, and hopefully these guys made the right changes, and I go out and hit my lap perfect and put up a good one.
Ricky Stenhouse will be a guy to watch in qualifying. By the way, top 10 for the first time last week at Richmond.
Yep, for Stenhouse, we'll see him in a little bit. Here's Kurt Busch, also very good in practice today. You heard from him with Doc earlier. He turned the second fastest lap.
I want to say it real quick before he comes around. We got 4 cars within 1/100th of a second. That's incredible.
Around a mile and a half. This is going to be close.
We might have another one. No, he's way off. He's 500s off. Oh, no, that's a good lap. He's runs just a half a tenth slower than the pole sitter.
Yeah, we always joke on short tracks that it's basically 100 per position, 100th of a second per position, and that kind of goes down there. But you think about that happening on a mile and a half. But I think what it leads us to is just to think about how competitive this chase is going to be, because now I was going to say it's 12 now that we have 13 drivers in there. But who outside of that is going to get in here and affect the points and everything? Because we have some outstanding teams and drivers that have been coming on lately that could well go in here and win these races and get in between these to separate them.
Well, Kurt, the 7 seed starting the chase. The 2 seed is right there with Jamie.
And he's a 2-time pole winner here as well. Second right now on the board. You were oh so close. Where do you feel like you lost it there?
I'm not sure. That was a really good lap. Chad was watching maybe the broadcast or something and thought that I had it in the bag and something happened on the front stretch, but I'm not really sure. I didn't have any problems on the exit of turn 4. Car drove great, so excited about that. And we're on the early side, so that might hurt us a little late in the going with some other cars coming out, but all in all should be a great starting position for the Lowe's Chevrolet.
How's baby Lydia?
Very good. All is well. I want to say hi to everybody at home.
Thanks, Jimmy. Alan?
So Jimmy Johnson's second, and here is Brian Vickers in the 55. Vickers with a piece in the USA Today newspaper this morning, basically presenting his side of the Michael Waltrip Racing story from Richmond last Saturday night and defending his team quite vigorously.
He did that, and you have to applaud him for that. And in the situation he was in, I don't know how you go against what they're telling you to do, the orders that you're getting there. And then, of course, that was a big part of tying all of that together and making it happen, was that radio communication.
8th fastest for Vickers, 28.96 and 186.445 miles an hour. I think, in a word, fascinating. This meeting tomorrow that's scheduled for the drivers, owners, and crew chiefs to talk about what all this means and how NASCAR is going to define the competition going forward. And check out, speaking of fascinating, check out these numbers. Look at this right-hand column over here. 7, 8, 9 thousandths of a second.
Thousandths of a second.
That's just incredible. Amazing. And stepping into the spotlight on the track, Clint Bowyer, the man who has been the focus of much questioning, much debate, some consternation, and the man who now will have to shoulder all of that going forward for these 10 weeks as he attempts to win a championship. And no matter what you think of Clint's actions or what unfolded last Saturday night, this team is running well. And if this doesn't derail them, they have a chance to be champion.
Absolutely. I think this is one of the fastest team. Without that controversy last week, I really felt like they had as good a chance as anybody of the top 12, now 13 chase drivers.
Can they overcome it? Can they deal with it and win the championship?
Boy, it takes some strong people and strong minds to overcome everything, because it's going to be something every single week. This isn't going away, you know, so they're going to have to deal with that, and we'll see how they handle it. It can be dealt with, but again, you have to be very strong-minded and strong-willed.
Kansas Clint, the 5 seed, qualifying 8th here. A 28.91 for Clint, and that's 8th out of 15 that have gone so far. Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, the top 2, not quite halfway through qualifying at Chicagoland. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying at Chicagoland Speedway. New driver aboard Swan Racing's 30 car this week. Cole Witt is aboard, going to run at least a couple of others this year. And the young Californian, 12th out of 16 that have gone so far at a 29.067. Jeff Burton on the track now. 17th fastest in practice for Jeff. One of the few pieces left in the silly season puzzle that hasn't played out yet. 78 car for Furniture Row Racing, about the only major available ride after the announcement Monday that Ryan Newman would be taking the reins of this 31 car for next season.
His nephew Jeff Burton is on the pole for the truck race.
Yep, Ward's son. And Jeff, 7th fastest there, 28.89, and that's 186 miles an hour and change for Jeff Burton. Doc?
Just talking with Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's doing double duty this weekend, by the way, AB. You just told me the Nationwide car is pretty darn good. How's the Cup car?
Yeah, the Nationwide car was good fun today, but the Cup car, we were in qualifying trim the whole practice, and thought the car drove pretty good. Just really couldn't get the speed out of it we needed to, but we're going to see what we can do here.
All right, Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting ready to climb in here. He's about 3 or 4 cars away from heading out. AB?
Usually that's the problem. He's driving too good.
Drives too good. That's what I was thinking exactly. Every time mine was driving good, that we fixed that. Try to make it go faster. So
Junior and his team to win a championship this year, I guess the first thing I need to see is they need to win.
Yeah, a little more speed. You know, they're going to have that. We keep talking about it, but obviously speed is a big thing with this Gen 6 car, and they're going to have to get that speed to get themselves in position to win. Consistency is great, but now in these 10 races, you're going to need to win.
And the last couple of years, we've seen some just, miraculous, heroic efforts out of the champions and how they go about these last 10 races and digging down deep, finding something that maybe they didn't have or didn't think they had. That's what we got to see out of Junior. He's going to have to dig down deep, pull something out that he hasn't been able to find yet if he's going to win this championship.
Travis Kvapil, the Wisconsin driver, closest race between here and Michigan, I guess, to a lot of the home state fans in Wisconsin. Now, Matt Kenseth also mentions this track as being one that a lot of folks from Wisconsin come down to cheer him on. Travis going to be 16th out of 18 in the BK car, and there is where Kvapil will fit into the grid puzzle at the moment.
See all these drivers as they come to the line, going down on the apron and making this the shortest way around, trying to get to that line and quick. But that's something that will be utilized on Sunday too. That's not an out-of-bounds situation. They'll be racing down there. Especially, we'll see it probably more on restarts than anything else, but they will attempt passes there.
If it's paved, they'll use it.
Yes.
And sometimes even if it's not paved. Don't recommend that. Well, here's the man who was fastest in practice earlier today, fresh off his first top 10 finish in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series last Saturday night in Richmond. The two-time Nationwide Series champ, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., again appearing that all of these Roush Fenway cars have picked up some steam here in this last month or so, and certainly Stenhouse benefiting from that.
I wouldn't have believed that it'd be this long for Ricky Stenhouse to get a top 10 finish. But, I expect
he wouldn't have either.
Yeah, no, I just expect a lot more from him. But this is what I expect from him. He was the fastest in practice. He's going to have a shot at this pole position. Got, like I said, a good top 10 last week. Maybe this is a good sign for this team for these last 10.
Last mile and a half track Atlanta 2 weeks ago. The pole winner was Stenhouse. Whoa, there's a little shimmy.
Yeah, that gets your attention right there.
Didn't slow him down.
I just said get your attention. That is,
yeah. So he's probably not driving too good, but look at that tracker.
Yeah. That's the highest that we've seen anybody down in 3 and 4 for sure.
He's carrying some momentum.
Yeah, his is on the other way here.
Wow.
Got it done.
Another track record.
188.772 miles an hour. He shaved 0.06 of a second from Carl Edwards' time. The new track record holder is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Watch this in 1 and 2.
God, and he stayed in it. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and the way they've got these cars set now with the down on the bump stops on the front and the things they're doing with the rear spring, I mean, they're like a go-kart more than anything else, and that little bit of a wiggle. But you have to know that just holding the wheel right there and staying in the throttle is what you have to do. Something difficult to do. Easy for me to say, very difficult to do.
1-2 for Roush at the moment. Stenhouse and Edwards, the top 2 in qualifying. Doc?
How about we visit with Brian Newman, by the way. Welcome to the 2013 chase. How good has this week been for you when you got that news?
It's been bittersweet. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it was definitely down after Saturday night, and then on Monday it was bittersweet because I knew we were in, but my buddy Truex was not, and I honestly believe he didn't know anything about what was going on there. And I think it's kind of rough on him. And as a friend, it's tough as a competitor, but as a friend, I think he should be in it. But in the end, our Quick Unload Chevrolet is, and we look forward to these next 10 races.
All right, Ryan Newman, guys.
We'll see Ryan out here on track in just a bit. On the track now is Kevin Harvick. The 4 seed in the chase.
Yeah, I talked to Kevin a little bit yesterday at the Contenders Live event, and he's pretty confident. He said, hey, what we got to lose? We're in here now. We've got 10 races. He said, we've had speed. He said, I feel like we're in really good shape to go give this thing a shot and try to get that championship.
When a driver announces he's leaving a team in this day and age of racing, a lot of times he gets cut out of the engineering meetings and the technical meeting and so on and so on. So now you got a guy that's leaving at the end of the year and he's racing for the championship. What do you do?
You have to include him in everything. You've got to put that aside. That's next year. You've got to get the job done in these 10 weeks.
Yeah, but I can tell you, I was at Richard Childress Racing in a lame duck season, like the last 10 races of my last year there with Earnhardt. And we went on and won some races in those last 10. And like I said, we were able to share some of that information. They didn't cut me out of it. But it is kind of weird when you're in that situation.
Be interesting to see. It might be harsher. And you correct me if I'm wrong, if Harvick was changing manufacturers for next year, but he is going to another Chevrolet team, so that might mitigate that a little bit.
A little.
Just a little.
You got to understand, I mean, Richard Childress understands the situation. That's big for his organization to try to get another championship, get Harvick his first championship, and the dollars that it brings into the organization. So it benefits them all to include everybody and everybody be on the same page.
Earnhardt, we were in Earnhardt Sr. We were in Victor Lane at Bartonsville, and he grabs me. We were taking pictures. He said, "Get a picture here." He says, "This might be your last time." I said, "What about next week?" He said, "Oh yeah," and we did go on and win another one.
Speaking of Earnhardt, Dale Jr. His 6th appearance in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Top 10 finishes here at Chicagoland the last couple of years. For Junior, he starts his championship basically mid-pack. If you were to put Matt Kenseth on pole, if you will, where points are concerned, Junior would be back mid-pack because he's 15 points in arrears of Kenseth by the reseed. Junior 9th qualifying right now out of 21. Jamie?
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had the pole 2 weeks ago for the first time in his rookie career here. Carl said you guys are communicating better as a team than you ever have. How is that benefiting you?
It's helped me a lot. I mean, we've been running stronger the last few weeks, and with a pole at Atlanta, top 10 last week at Richmond, and it's important. I mean, they're going into the chase and, going for a championship. We're trying to just gain as many points as we can over these last 10 races and win Rookie of the Year. So if we can get them a victory and, the championship and the Sprint Cup Series would be huge for Jack and for our company right now. So we're all working really, really hard together at trying to make that happen. And I try to do my part, and, they help me out a lot as well.
Ricky said his hands were shaking after that 1 and 2.
Then rightfully so. So Stenhouse right now on pole position. Bobby Labonte going to return to the 47 car next week at New Hampshire. Another week off to recover from those 3 broken ribs suffered in that cycling accident. A.J. Allmendinger back aboard here.
Hey, he's got a good lap going too.
Well, look at him wheel the thing. You can see it. He's wheeling, moving in there.
Look at this lap. It's a great lap. He's only 800ths of a second off the pole. Now it does put him in 6th, but
yeah. Man. Story 2 of the day. Story 1, adding Jeff Gordon to the chase. Story 2 of the day, the times incredibly close in qualifying. Back live Chicagoland Speedway, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying on this Friday. Saturday, we'll have the NASCAR Nationwide Series race for you as their championship builds toward its conclusion, 3:30 Eastern, ESPN 2. Then Sunday, race 1 in the chase, the GEICO 400 at Chicagoland Speedway, 1 Eastern. Starting with NASCAR Countdown on ESPN, I wonder whatever we'll talk about before the race. Also this weekend, the NHRA Carolina Nationals see qualifying Sunday at 3:30 a.m. Eastern on ESPN 2, and the final eliminations Sunday night at 8:30 Eastern, also on ESPN 2. During the break, Reed Sorensen made his qualifying lap in the 95 car. Sorensen 22nd out of 24. And David Reagan. Oh, there's the numbers on Sorensen. David Reagan ran the 11th fastest lap to this point in the 34 car, 187.5 miles an hour for the Georgia native.
Another Ford putting down a fast lap there for David Reagan.
Yep. Here is David Ruderman, former winner in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at this Chicagoland Speedway. And for Ruderman, that is going to be 20th out of 25 at a 29.288. Check downstairs with Doc.
And with defending NASCAR Sprint Cup champion Brad Keselowski. Brad, now that you know you can't defend the title this year, what's the mindset for you and the 2 team now in these final 10 races?
Well, mindset right now is win this race, and then next week win that race, and the week after, and so forth and so on. And I think we've got the car to do it. We've had a lot of speed over the last few weeks. Obviously, lacked the execution that it takes to make it in the chase, but the speed is there, and execution, that could come and go. It obviously went pretty quick, and it can come just as quickly right back for us. So I think we've got a great shot at it, Jerry. We're really fast this weekend so far in practice, and I think that'll carry over.
Here in Chicago, the sponsor's hometown. Alan?
Keselowski, the winner of this race a year ago. That fight with Jimmy Johnson off the final green flag pit stops.
Yeah, that was pretty neat how they raced each other coming off pit road, and how Brad was able to take advantage of that situation and get in front.
Here's Ryan Newman. You heard from Ryan a few minutes ago. What a week, right? Saturday night, you were leading the race. The caution came out. You didn't get the pit stop you needed. You lost the race. You were out of the chase. Monday, you went to announce that you had a new ride for 2014. Then Monday night, you found out you were back in the chase. But as you heard Ryan say, your friend was kicked out, basically at your benefit. And what a week of emotions for the 39.
I tell you, I was so impressed with the way he drove the last part of that race to drive himself into position to get in the chase around the outside of Carl Edwards.
Yeah,
pretty impressive. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, and see that, and of course I don't think they're going to be real happy with the 12th fastest time there to this point. But what we have seen is speed and some good communication between he and Matt Borland that are making things happen on the racetrack. So you can't discount this team. They've shown that they can win, and so they could do that in these 10 and be a part of this.
Well, Newman comes in as the second of what is now 3 wild cards. Here's the #1 seed in the chase, Matt Kenseth. Who better to have as our ESPN in-race reporter for Sunday's chase opener? ESPN.com, search in-race reporter, or tweet at NASCAR ESPN. for suggesting a question for DJ to ask on Sunday.
I like the way his car looked through there.
He's had a great record on these mile-and-a-half tracks this year.
3 wins in 6 tries.
Looks like we're going to have another one clustered in there in those 60s. Yep, another. Now, he actually tied Paul Menard. That's a 6.78. So we've got somebody, Jimmy Johnston is third at a 6.77, then a 6.78, 6.78, 6.79. Back to 6th place.
So Matt Kenseth, 4th out of 27 at the moment. 16 cars to go, and we check with Doc.
And Joey Logano qualifying for his first chase this year last Saturday night at Richmond. And Joey, a lot of discussion this week about what happened with your team and position changes, etc. NASCAR's Mike Hilton today talking about putting your team on probation for the remainder of the year. Your thoughts?
It's what it is. We're excited about being here in Chicago and being in the chase, and we know we deserve to be here. We know we got the numbers to prove it. I'm glad it's all behind us and we can focus in on Chicago like we were anyway, but at least this should end all the talk, and we can focus on trying to win the championship with our Shell Pennzoil Ford.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
Trying to focus forward here after all the controversy of the week.
Doc, thanks. And as we watch Michael McDowell on the racetrack, Logano's team's another one that, because of everything that went on at Richmond and all the conversation since, the closer they get to possibly winning the championship, the more that drum is going to beat.
Yeah, we get down to Homestead, and it'll probably be Clint Bowyer and Jeff Gordon and Joey Logano.
Yeah. And wouldn't that be fun?
And Ryan Newman would be right there, yeah.
McDowell, 25th out of 28, had a 29.45, and been talking about how close this qualifying is. And we go back and look at the numbers again. And look at that right-hand column. Just amazing. All these drivers in the 60s.
Our stats guy said that's less than the car length. Or 2 car lengths, I'm sorry. Between the top 10.
Did he carry the one?
I don't know if he did or not, but he's usually pretty good.
Yeah, I think he did. Interesting, close. And Casey Kane on the clock now. Kane, of course, the first wild card, so doesn't get the bonus points for his 2 wins leading into the chase. Starts things 15 points behind Matt Kenseth.
Outstanding record at this racetrack, though. Really likes to run here. Fits his style really well. He's really good at being in the throttle and not turning the wheel a lot and getting the most out of it. And he's got a fast lap going right here. Is it enough?
It's going to be close. Got it by 0.02 of a second.
Wow. Incredible.
Good job, bud.
Stenhouse ran a 28.606. Kane a 28.604. New track record for the moment.
8 people have broke the track record so far.
4-time and 3-time champions. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart. A little pit road conversation. I'll bet you if they gave Smoke a helmet, he'd take that scooter out on the track right now. As NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying continues here at Chicagoland. Reminder that 2 ranked teams highlight ESPN's primetime doubleheader tomorrow at 7 Eastern. One of the nation's best wide receivers, Jordan Matthews, leads the Commodores in a crucial SEC East battle against Jadeveon Clowney and the Gamecocks. Then at 10:30, James White and the Badgers will test Will Sutton and the Sun Devils at Savannah in South Carolina. At 7, Wisconsin and Arizona State at 10:30 tomorrow on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. A lot of intriguing matchups early in this college football season. Watching Brad Keselowski qualify now. Timmy Hill and Tony Raines ran their qualifying laps during the break. Hill 27th, Raines 31st out of 31. Keselowski with a green line going here, trying to knock Casey Kane off pole position.
Well, look at that car bounce around. And you can see staying in the throttle through all of that. He might have him right here. Yep.
Yeah, he laid it down there. He put one in the 50s.
28.53. That's P1 right now. Great effort. Hell yeah.
Last year's champ, who's not in this year's chase, Brad Keselowski. Pole position and track record for the moment here at Chicagoland with 11 drivers to go. Jamie?
Well, Casey Kane was the pole sitter for a moment and just lost it there, but you're visibly shaking. Did you get everything in your lap?
Yeah, I felt like it's a pretty good lap. I maybe gave up a little bit in one. When I landed, I didn't maybe get wide open quite soon enough. But 3 and 4, I thought I hit that pretty good. And the guys did a nice job today with our Farmers Insurance Chevrolet. So we're in a good spot. We definitely be in the top 5, I think, because I felt like that was a really solid lap. Hopefully, maybe front row, definitely top 5.
All right, Casey Kane has the worst average finish of all chasers at Chicago, but right now he's P2.
Here is Joey Logano. Team placed on probation by NASCAR earlier today for the rest of the season, but Logano, frankly, has had a lot of speed over this season and this summer. And if they cannot let any of these distractions shadow them, he's someone to keep an eye on these next 10 weeks.
Oh, look at this lap.
Maybe at the top now.
It is.
Got it. New leader.
Right, good job, Ed.
At all Penske front row for the moment. Logano at 189.4 miles an hour, the new leader in qualifying at Chicagoland. '66-degree September afternoon here at Chicagoland Speedway. Getting ready for the first race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup ESPN Sunday at 1 Eastern Time. Qualifying to set the starting order for that race ongoing right now. Danica Patrick just finished up her lap, 19th fastest at a 28.91. Landon Castle also just finished his lap during the break, 26th out of 35 for the Iowa native. Here's Greg Biffle, competing in the chase for the 6th time, the 7 seed coming in, who said this week that he feels like he and his team are a lot more prepared to start the chase this year than they were 12 months ago. Not bad. 5th fastest for the Biff. 28.64. All that behind the new pole sitter, Joey Logano, Jamie.
And Todd Gordon, his crew chief, just walking up. And Todd told me, Joey, before you qualified, that you guys just straight missed it last week, just trying to be too conservative. Do you feel now that you guys have your mojo back and you're back where you've been all year?
Sure seems like it. It was a really good lap, and Shell Pennzoil 4 has been quick ever since we unloaded it, just making little changes here and there, trying to find a little bit more speed. And Todd made the right adjustments going into qualifying here, laid down a really good lap here. So hopefully it hangs in there. It felt really fast, so we'll see. You never know. There's still a few more good cars behind us. Just dodged a bullet there at Greg, so we'll see what happens.
All right, Joey Logano, P1 right now.
Martin Truex Jr. on his qualifying lap now, revealing to the media a little while ago here today that testing this week shows he has 2 broken bones in his hand, not just the one, and has raced with that these last couple of weeks trying to make the chase, and then all of those events transpired that have taken him back out.
Yeah, got one of the harshest penalties of being taken out of the chase, and really all he did was drive his car into a position to, or as good as he could get out of it last Saturday night at Richmond.
12th out of 37 for Truex. Jeff Gordon just joining us, being added to the chase field today. 13 drivers will compete for the championship this year as a result of NASCAR studying all of the events of the week. NASCAR Chairman Brian France earlier today saying unprecedented and extraordinary circumstances gave an unfair disadvantage to Jeff Gordon and his team. And so NASCAR was going to take the unprecedented and extraordinary step of expanding the chase field by 1 to include Jeff Gordon.
We'll have to see tomorrow exactly what all is said, what's laid out, the guidelines. But more than anything else, I think there's the lesson that everybody's going to learn here, or should, is that don't put yourself in a position to make NASCAR react to something that you're doing, because you might not like the outcome. And you put them in that position, in that box, they sometimes have to make a penalty or give a penalty, and it could be harsh.
As competitors over the years, you heard them tell you that many, many times, right?
Absolutely.
Don't put us in the position of having to make a call. Justin Allgaier, 5th in the NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship coming into the weekend, looking to make his Sprint Cup Series debut. First of 3 times we'll see Allgaier this season in the Sprint Cup car. Of course, Harry Scott now owning this 51 team, completing the sale and purchase of the team from James Finch. And Allgaier, the Illinois native, 31st out of 38 in his first qualifying effort in a NASCAR Sprint Cup machine. It is a transition.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just sitting here thinking about that. He hasn't been racing these cars and the way they drive and feel and the extra horsepower. It'll take him a little bit of time to get used to that, but he'll have 400 miles on Sunday to get used to it.
Smoke on the radio. Mark Martin on the track in Smoke's car. Remember, it was a couple of years ago, Tony came into this race without a win. And in the chase field, scored his first win of the season on a fuel mileage run here at Chicagoland and went on to win the championship in that epic fight with Carl Edwards that came right down to the last laps of the final race of the season.
Yeah, finishing first and second in it and winning half of the chase race is just incredible.
27th for Mark Martin. Continuing the process of trying to acclimate to what this team does technically and so on, and the feel of their race cars and the way they're designed.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that Mark's struggling as much as he is because, it's obviously a good race team. And Mark Martin has always been someone I thought could go to any race team and help them become an even better race team and jump right in and be fast.
I think he will in time. He's still got 10 more races to work with this team, and I think by the time they get halfway through these chase races, I believe you're going to see that Mark will make a difference.
So Mark 27th out of 39 and leaves us 4 drivers to go, including the man of the afternoon, Jeff Gordon. Now championship chaser, Jeff Gordon.
What's Gordon and his team going to do with this opportunity that they've been given? We saw them try to race their way in and have speed and show the ability to run up front, but finishing races off once again has been something that they've had a little bit of difficulty in doing.
Got a good lap going here. Lost a little bit from 4 to the finish.
Great lap. They got tied off, and that's where Logano was really good on the middle of 3 and 4, the exit at turn 4.
Faster than the old track record, not fast enough to set a new track record for Jeff Gordon. Final few cars in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying. Josh Wise just ran 32nd fastest out of now 41. Leaving 2 drivers to go. And Joey Logano on pole position, waiting out those final 2 runs. J.J. Yaley on track in the 36. J.J. going to throw out first pitch at a Chicago White Sox game. You ever throw out a first pitch at a ball game like that?
I have, yes.
What was the one thing you were afraid of most?
Not getting it to the plate.
Strike.
That's it.
I don't know. It would have been a strike in my book, but it may have been just a little bit outside.
Don't leave it short and bounce.
That's right.
That's it. Yaley, 29th out of 42, and now 1 final driver to go. It'll either be Juan Pablo Montoya or Joey Logano on pole position for Sunday's GEICO 400. Montoya ran the 5th fastest lap in practice. If he duplicates that lap, he'll be well short. It's kind of how things have worked out here.
Man, looking for a job, though. Makes you drive a little faster.
Right now, 13 drivers under the track record that existed at the start of the qualifying session. Logano waiting to see how Montoya's run goes.
I heard that thing hit the rev limiter getting in turn 1. I thought this might be a pretty fast lap.
It's up high right there.
Uh-oh, he might give it up right there. Oh, just short.
3rd fastest for Juan Pablo Montoya. a 14th driver to break the track record, but there's the man who will be on pole position for chase race #1 Sunday. Joey Logano is going to lead the field to the green.
Cool, huh?
Time trials for the first race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup in the books today at Chicagoland Speedway. The race will begin with the Penske teammates Logano and Keselowski on the front row.
Boy, laid down a couple of fast laps there. Of course, a lot of teams did. Ricky Stenhouse once again starting up front.
Definitely the Fords are showing some strength.
Matt Kenseth, Jeff Gordon, all in that top 10.
Great run for A.J. Allmendinger. Broke the old track record.
And Clint Bowyer back in row 12. And a quick look through the rest of the starting order for Sunday's race. So Joey Logano, you know, last time he won pole position was at Michigan. And Jamie, he won that race.
Yes, he did. The odds are looking good. Joey, right before qualifying, NASCAR announces you guys are put on probation through the end of the year for what happened last week with the radio communications. What does getting this pole to kick off the chase say about you and your team?
Says a lot. It says we're here to win, and you know, the Shell Pennzoil team can do it, and we proved it here today. You know, when you pull into the chase here, you know everyone's picking it up a notch, and it's cool to see that we went with them, and maybe you can get more. So we'll have to see what happens Sunday, but so far this Ford's been really fast, and these are the type racetracks we've been able to you know, capitalize on, 1.5 mile, 2-mile racetracks with these Roush Yates motors. So hopefully we capitalize at these racetracks to try to give us a shot to win this championship.
All right, and Roger Penske, his boss, overseas right now, Alan, but just called to congratulate his team.
Well, Joey Logano has won the first starting spot for Sunday's race and the first pick of pit stalls. And he also gets to go back to the press room and answer some more questions right now after setting fast time today. We now look ahead to Sunday's 400-miler to kick off the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and here is where the 13 drivers, where the 13 drivers competing for the championship will start.
Yeah, which one of these drivers is going to step it up and win this championship?
Yeah, Logano firing that first shot, so to speak. I think they probably learned a valuable lesson about conservative racing. No good at Richmond last week. I look for them to be up front in a lot of these teams.
So that is where the chase drivers will line up within the GEICO 400 field. Don't forget, tomorrow, the NASCAR Nationwide Series championship fight continues here at Chicagoland Speedway, 3:30 Eastern, ESPN2. And then Sunday, the GEICO 400 to begin the chase, 1 Eastern on ESPN, starting with NASCAR Countdown. Also this weekend, the NHRA Carolina Nationals qualifying, 3:30 a.m. Eastern Sunday, ESPN2. And final elimination, Sunday, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN2. ESPN FC is coming up next. Joey Logano on pole position for the chase race #1 Sunday at Chicagoland Speedway. Jeff Gordon in the chase field.